This is a candomblé ritual, a religion brought to Brazil by African slaves. It survived centuries of persecution and discrimination before gaining acceptance. But as October's presidential election approaches, many of its followers feel like they've become targets in a holy war.
Hostilities increase when you mix politics with religion. Our temples have been attacked by the growing number of radical evangelical Christians. It's a battle for souls, for power and for votes.
Protestant Christian evangelicals are Brazil's fastest growing religious group. They have become a strong force in politics and the media. The evangelicals include President Jair Bolsonaro's wife, Michele, and say they're defending the Bible and traditional family values.
Bolsonaro was chosen by God.
Followers of Afro-Brazilian faiths say the evangelicals are also driving a culture of intolerance as the election approaches. The First Lady shared this video on social media. It shows Bolsonaro's main adversary, former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, being blessed by a priestess, and compares him to a devil worshipper. Last year, Brazilian authorities received 586 complaints of religious intolerance, 141% more than in 2020. In 9 out of 10 cases, the targets were followers of Afro-Brazilian religions. This woman was forced at gunpoint to destroy her temple. Edson is a candomblé practitioner. He makes his living as an Uber driver catering specially to people who feel oppressed because of their faith.
I know how my passengers feel because I've been there. I've had Uber riders cancel the ride when they saw me dressed in my ceremonial clothes. In the bus, people make you uncomfortable by inching away from you.
He drives fellow candomblé faithful to their ceremonies and shows them sanctuaries like this park where they can feel safe. Until recently, it was common to find offerings to spiritual entities of the Afro-Brazilian religions like this one on the crossroads or on beaches of Rio de Janeiro and other urban cities. This one has food and it has perfume and candles. But every time more, the followers of these religions are going to secluded places like this forest because they're afraid they'll be persecuted or that their offerings will be destroyed. Meanwhile, followers of Afro-Brazilian religions continue to beat their drums and call on their saints, asking for protection and peace. Monica Yanakiew, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
Let's bring in Graziella Testa. She's a professor for the School of Public Policy and Government at the Getulio Vargas Foundation, and she joins us via Skype from Brasilia. Thanks very much for being with us. Well, why does this fear exist and this persecution of these Afro-Brazilian religions? Why does it exist in Brazil?
Yes. Hi, Laura. Thank you for the invite. The Brazilians, the Afro-Brazilians have actually been mischaracterized as witchcraft and related to some things that are not true, especially by some evangelicals and some churches in particular. So we are a very racist country. We have this structural racism that is a important characteristic of our culture. And one of the parts of this racism is the prejudice against the practitioners of Umbanda, Candomblé, and other religions related to Afro-Americans that came with the Afro-Americans that came to Brazil to work as slaves. So we are a country that based its colonization on slavery work. And we never had an effective policy to include those citizens in society after the slavery was abolished in the late 800s.
And have you noticed this intolerance, this level of intolerance rising under Jair Bolsonaro?
It has risen because minorities in general are being mistreated and are being are not treated as they should. That they are dignity, they deserve rights, and they must be protected. Jair Bolsonaro is deeply related to the evangelical community, and the evangelical community is very diverse itself. It's not that everyone has prejudice against the Afro-descendants, but Jair Bolsonaro has its base on this religion, and it has been growing because of it. So he's not afraid of saying bad things and prejudice things against this population.
I mean, Brazil is still a predominantly Catholic country, but we have seen this rise in evangelicalism in politics and in sport. Why does it appeal to so many people?
So we are mostly Catholics, but evangelicals tend to vote because of their religion. So they are a strong political community as a religion. They have been rising because they, like 30 or 40 years ago, they started this important work in the poor areas of Brazil, and they actually came in places that the state could not come. And they provided services such as provide food to those who didn't have food in those places. They provided some kind of culture in places that didn't exist. And they just occupied a place that should be a state place. And now they are very big, they are strong, and some of them are centralized, and they are political related to some candidates.
Very interesting indeed. Graziella Testa, thanks very much for joining us here on Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much, Laura.